Ziri, there are other methods of procuring a PPP in the law that you're referring to, including competitive, and there's also restricted. Why didn't the government consider those and went straight to PIP?
I think, Gituku, to be really fair to the process, we could, if we have time, you do know during El Nino, our airport has just been leaking. Mm-hmm. And we are criticized during the difficult time, we are criticized during, we need to build a new airport for Kenya.
Yep.
As to whether we can afford to build it on government balance sheet, mm-hmm. we should have done that a while ago.
Right.
As to whether the process under the PIP will go through mm-hmm. is something we need to see as we allow the process to go through,
right.
and see whether we are going to hem in and agree on the parameters that the investors proposed and what Kenya is basically saying. This is deal breakers, and therefore we should be able to.
I think what I'm asking for so that we can make progress is what is the justification of going for the privately initiated proposal, knowing too well that the preferred mode is competitive, including the advisory from ALG was a competitive sort of process? I think,
Gituku, it is just one of the procurement methods. Anybody can bring in a privately initiated project proposal. And you could go the Swiss way where you can take the due process of privately initiated. If you have the luxury of time, invite other people to match and eventually allow the initial company to basically recompete and possibly win the whole thing. So it's one of the processes allowed by law. Mm-hmm. And then so in a situation where an investor has written to us, we evaluate that investor's proposal, and to the extent that we could agree, mm-hmm. it can go through. If we don't agree, then it collapses.
Aware that initially the KAF found that the proposal by Adani was untenable based on some of the proposals about the feasibility of financial and others?
Yeah, it's a process. It's a process. What happens, and I don't know whether I keep on insisting that 20 processes, if I was to take you through the 20 processes as articulated or brought out by the law,
yep.
we'll take it through every stage. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't qualify, we go back to ask them whether, and it moves to and fro, and it can succeed, it can collapse. And yes, we are at this stage, like I said, 13, doing the due diligence, we are doing the stakeholder engagement, mm-hmm. And so on and so forth. We will thereafter get the contracting authority to present the project to the PPP committee to basically confirm that anything that was offending has been corrected. If we are able to move it forward through the due process, then it becomes a project. We then have a concession agreement that can go to the AG for legal opinion, go to cabinet for approval before we have a deal. But as we speak, we don't have a deal.
What does due diligence mean?
Due diligence is basically, we could be looking at due diligence. Aspect of the due diligence is include commercial, mm-hmm. the financial, all the issues from capacity to be able to run the kind of airport that we are seeking, mm-hmm. looking at what other operations they run worldwide, mm-hmm. and then so on and so forth. So we look at commercial, financial, legal, and all aspects of the company to be able to confirm that due diligence.
And therefore, when KAF finds that the feasibility study report submitted by Adani has not fully satisfied criteria of project feasibility and affordability, what should that inform?
It's a question of when you submit a project privately initiated proposal,
yep.
and against our visibility, mm-hmm. we come back to you to basically look at confirmation as to whether you meet the requirements for the Kenyan type of whatever under that feasibility. It could be environmental, it could be under the feasibility, because whether you meet the requirements for the Kenyan type of whatever under that feasibility, it could be environmental, it could be, you know, we are seeking an investor. We are suiting investors to come and help us develop an airport. So to the extent that they can make good anything that was not proposed to meet the requirement of the law, that can be made good as we go through the due process, because it's a negotiation process.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. About Global Airports Operator LLC Abu Dhabi. registered on the 7th of August 2024 by Adani Group?
I'm not aware.
Okay, so there's a letter that went out indicating that happened. Are you aware about, let me just read the company, the full name as it is, that was registered in Kenya, Airports Infrastructure PLC, 30th of August 2024.
I'm not aware, but if you are talking about debt Gituku, I'm aware, like in energy, when investors have proposed to put in an expensive debt, we have offered to negotiate for them to even get a debt from Africa Development Bank, from where you can get cheap money. Because, like I said, this is really a managed process, and we cannot take a debt which is expensive. It must be. So to the extent that we can approach financial institutions who have got better price debt, we'll be able to work together, because then this gives us the correct pricing that gives us good service charge at the airport.
But Waziri, if you're doing due diligence, how is it that the minister responsible for roads and transport, the line minister for JKIA, is not aware that Adani Group has been registering companies 7th of August 2024 in Abu Dhabi, 30th of August 2024 in Kenya?
Gituku, I've just disclosed to you that we are at that stage of the due diligence. So if what you are saying is true, it will come out. We are at that stage currently.
You're not aware?
I'm not aware.
Never heard of?
The point is, we have got a team of multi-government agency from different departments of government, including the Ministry of Finance, the Attorney General Office, the airport, doing the due diligence.
Yes.
A group of 15 people. And when you do due diligence from the area of commercial, financial, human resource, everything across the board, environmental, all these things suddenly will come out.
Who is representing your ministry?
You do know that I'm just 1 month today at the ministry, but I do know this representation.
This is an important conversation.
The ministry, I think it is represented by JKIA staff. There are senior JKIA staff who are participating in that.
JKIA staff?
Yeah.
Nobody from your department?
I'm not aware whether there is anybody from the Ministry of Transport. None.
So when you assure Kenyans that the interests are going to be taken care of, but your ministry has not sent a direct link, so who is conducting due diligence on the behalf of you or of your ministry to give you the confidence?
The Kenya Airports Authority is under my ministry.
So who went in KA?
I could have come with the names if I knew the question was going to come up. Like I've just said, I'm exactly 1 month since. It's a big team. It's a 15-member team, including, of course, the PPP Secretariat, and which is headed by Chris Kirigwa.
Chris Kirigwa from PPP Directorate?
The Director General of PPP, yeah.
Okay. So who is helping KA in this process?
Like I've said, and if I showed you and I did...
Because they're the contracting entity, isn't it?
Yes.
So who is helping KA?
The PPP Secretariat. There is a Director General in charge of PPP at the National Treasury.
But expertise...
You'll have seen documents moving between JKIA and PPP Secretariat, moving back to JKIA and going back to PPP Secretariat to ensure that they do comply with the PPP process. And we look at all those issues, like I've talked about debt equity ratio, we look at return on equity, we look at the concession period, we look at the staff issues, that if the staff were going to move from a human resource perspective, they can only move on better terms than what's obtaining today. So all those things are in the concession agreement, and it's basically guided by the PPP Secretariat. PPP Secretariat is a whole directorate at the Treasury, run by a Director General, Chris Kirigwa.
What is the role of senior government advisors in this?
Absolutely none. Yes, absolutely none.
So who is advising KA?
There is a whole PPP Secretariat who are very well trained on PPP processes. Even the energy programs I did talk to you about, all of them go to the PPP Secretariat at the National Treasury. It's a two, and it is manned by very competent staff. We've got a whole directorate with a Director General running that Secretariat.
Okay.